नमो तस्य भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्य नमो तस्य भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्य. My humble greeting to the Venerable Mahasangha Ratana, respected Upasakas, Upasikas, and the distinguished dignitaries gathering here today in this august assembly to celebrate the reflect upon the timeless value of the culture, heritage, spiritual devotion, and literary excellence. In my profound honor to participate in this auspicious consecration ceremony of the most venerable Dr. Palagama Hemaratan Thero, Sahitya Suri, Chief Sanganayak of the Asthan and Nora Kaluvia, Anuradhapur, Sri Lanka. Earlier this year, we at Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies, deemed University, Sarnath, Varanasi, had the privilege to conferring upon him the honorary Kosa degree in the literature during our 16th convocation. I offer my deepest congratulatory respect to the most venerable Dr. Palagama Hemaratan Thero and express my heartfelt gratitude for allowing us the honor of this association. This truly joyous occasion invites us all to reflect upon the timeless values of our vast and rich cultural heritage, profound spiritual devotion, and literary excellence. As I am a follower of the Sanskrit Buddhist tradition from India, I am deeply honored to be the part of this auspicious event held in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and to share some reflection on the beautiful culture, religious, and spiritual bonds that unite our two countries and traditions. We are forever bound together by one timeless and peerless teacher, the blessed Shakyamuni Buddha of this fortune eon. Bhadrakalpa. The relation between Sri Lanka and India stretched back to the era of Dhamma King Ashoka. When we consider the flourishing of the Buddha Dhamma throughout history, we must acknowledge two essential forces. First, the blessing of the Tathagat Buddha himself, and second, the immense contribution of the Dhamma King such as Ashoka. These two forces have functioned like the wheel of bicycle, each indispensable to the other, enabling Buddha Dhamma to flourish not only in the India and Sri Lanka, but throughout the world. Spiritually, the relationship between the ordained Sangha and the patron of the Dhamma, the Upasaka and Upasikas, has been vital for the separate and preservation of the teaching. Following the third Buddhist council, Dharma King Ashoka sent his son Arhant Mahendra and daughter Bhikkhuni Sanghamitra to Sri Lanka to propagate Buddha Dhamma. Later, under the patronage of Sri Lankan King Vattagamin, the words of the Buddha in the form of Pali Tripitaka was written down in the Sri Lanka, and this believed to be the first written form of the complete Pali Tripitaka. This tradition of spiritual relationship between the India and Sri Lanka continued with the master such as Acharya Buddha Ghosha traveling for the Bodh Gaya to Sri Lanka. Acharya Buddha Ghosha's arrival in Sri Lanka and contribution to the composition of the Atkatha, the commentary literature on the words of the Buddha, strengthened the profound tradition of scholarship between our two nations. The spiritual connection between our lands and remain unbroken through the centuries as Sri Lanka Anagarik Dharampala made immeasurable contribution to the revival of Buddhism in India between the 19th and 20th centuries, particularly in the restoration holy site like Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha attained Buddhahood, and Sarnath, where the Buddha delivered his first teaching on the Four Noble Truths. Anagarik Dharampala's establishment of the Mahabodhi Society in India and subsequent effort in propagating Buddhism worldwide played a crucial role in the revitalizing Buddhism in India and beyond. in the late 19th century, when the Swami Vivekananda from India represented Sanatan Dharma at the Parliament of World Religion in Chicago in 1893, Anagarika Dharamapala represented Buddhism at that same historic gathering. Anagarika Dharamapala's effort to revive Buddhism in India left a profound impact in India that later influenced by Indians such as Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's decision to embrace Buddhism, along with a great number of his followers. Similarly, the revival of the Buddhist literary tradition through the luminaries such as Rahul Sanskrityan and Badan Anand Kosalyan enriched the spiritual and cultural life of both India and Sri Lanka alike through their travel, spiritual training in Sri Lanka, and numerous literary compositions thereafter. It is evident that across different Buddhist schools and traditions, there exists fundamental unity in terms of following the Vinaya codes of conduct or monastic, including the 4 Parajikas, 13 Sang Adishesha, and likewise Nishagya Pachitta and so on others. All Buddhist schools adhere to these core category of Vinaya codes because throughout the Buddha's lifetime, during the old 45 Varshavas, monsoon retreat led by the Buddha himself, ordained Sangha recite the Pratimokha Sutta and participated in 3 ground rituals with one voice. I believe that the division into different schools arose later only from the difference of opinion regarding the minor matter with regard to Pachitta, etc. Some categories of the Vinaya rules. Other than there is, in terms of teaching, we all follow the same core essence of the Buddha's teaching as expressed in Dhampada, Sarva Papasya Agranam, Kushalasya Ussambhata, Swachit Pariyotpannam Etang Buddhanam Shasanam. Philosophically, all Buddhists unanimously accept that all composite phenomena are impermanent, and all things caused by contaminated karma and klesha are by nature suffering. There are no difference among schools in accepting these 2 principles. Even regarding the anatta, selfless, defined as something that does not exist apart from the 5 aggregates, that is not permanent, not unitary, and not independent. There is consensus among all Buddhist schools. Differences emerge primarily when defining subtle form of selflessness. The Sanskrit Buddhist tradition view the 5 aggregate as being like illusion or dreams. The analogy given in the sutra, that of the tiger holding its cup in its mouth, neither dropping nor biting it. Similarly, all composite phenomena exist in a way that they neither fall toward absolute permanence nor absolute nihilism. When we say they are neither absolute permanent nor absolute nihilistic, we present them as akin to illusion and the dreams. With regards of the inception, our institute in Sarnath, Varanasi, when His Holiness Dalai Lama arrived in India in exile, he brought with him Tibetan Buddhist tradition that traces its root to ancient Indian Nalanda Buddhist tradition, a tradition that had declined in mainland India by 13th century. Tibet had preserved an entire Nalanda Buddhist tradition through translation of the Buddha's work, Kanjur, and commentarial work, Tenjun, from the Sanskrit to Tibetan, maintaining it as living tradition through generation of translators, scholars, and practitioners. Upon his arrival in India, His Holiness worked tirelessly not only to preserve these teachings, but also for revival of the ancient Indian Nalanda Buddhist tradition in India by restoring and translating Buddhist teachings back into Sanskrit from their Tibetan translations. At His Holiness' request to the Government of India, our institute, the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies, was established in 1967 in Sarnath, Varanasi, primarily for the preservation of Tibetan Buddhist philosophical tradition, restoration and translation of the lost Sanskrit Buddhist treatises from their Tibetan translation. In 1988, it was declared a deemed university by the University Grant Commission, Government of India. Since the Institute establishment and its designation as a deemed university, we have had 16 convocations. During these ceremonies, the Institute has had the honor of awarding honorary degree to the eminent spiritual masters such as His Holiness Dalai Lama and the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh from Vietnam and environmental activist Sulekha Sivarakshak from Thailand, and to promoting leaders including former President of India, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, among many other dignitaries. This year, during our Institute's 16th convocation, we had privilege to awarding honorary degree to the Most Venerable Palagama Hemratana Thero of the Pali Buddhist tradition and His Holiness Digung Kyamgun Chesang Rinpoche of the Sanskrit tradition, in recognition of their contribution to the Buddha Dhamma generally and to their respect tradition particularly. What I wish to emphasize for the Dhamma in general and for our respective tradition in particular is the vital importance of maintaining the profound interconnection between the Pali Buddhist tradition and Sanskrit Buddhist tradition. This relationship is essential for the flourishing of the Buddha Dhamma throughout the world for benefit of all sentient beings. As mentioned earlier, regarding the teaching of the Tripitaka and the practice of Shil, Samadhi, and Prajna, there are only minor differences between different Buddhist traditions. Fundamentally, there is no difference among the Buddhist tradition in taking refuge to three jewels, practicing the three training of Shil, Samadhi, and Prajna, pursuing Nirvana, following the Eightfold Noble Path, and adhering to the principle of the 12-link Pratityasamutpada interdependent origination. With these few words of the reflection, I extend my sincere gratitude to the organizing committee for inviting me to be part of this auspicious occasion and for giving me the opportunity to share this reflection. Thank you. Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam.